The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.
I have a story here. It's kind of a two-parter. There was a story that went viral about some guy who had a Roomba, and his dog, or some type of pet, I believe it was a dog, took a shit in the house.
During the night.
During the night, the dog dropped a steamy one somewhere in the house, and this guy had a Roomba. So a scheduled Roomba.
To clean at 3 a.m.
The Roomba activates, and the Roomba does not have a feces detector on it, and the Roomba moves over the feces and spreads it all over the house.
Right.
And you would think that this has happened before. Yes, of course this has happened before. And according to a spokesman for the company, quote, "Quite honestly, we see this a lot." Quote, "We generally tell people to try not to schedule your vacuum if you know you have dogs that may create such a mess. With animals, anything can happen."
Yeah. And with Roombas, apparently, anything can happen as well.
Yep. There's even a diagram from someone of the Roomba and the fecal path that it created. And this is incredible. Quote, "Do not, under any circumstances, let Roomba run over dog poop," Newton wrote. "It will spread dog poop over every conceivable surface within its reach, resulting in a home that closely resembles a Jackson Pollock poop painting."
And if you look at the diagram of the path that it took, it is a very sort of abstract art-like path through the person's home. Yeah.
Yes, it's very artistic. The Guardian reports, I guess from another poop victim, quote, "It's awful. The poop gets stuck in these tiny treads in the wheels, gets sucked inside and in all of the brushes. That's on top of the poop smeared all over the house."
You've basically got to throw out your Roomba if this happens, right? I mean, it's like I remember when I was last in Argentina, or a couple times ago, and my brother walking around outside. The city of Buenos Aires is pretty known for not having the most polite dog owners, if you know what I mean, with regard to curbing your dog.
Yeah.
And, he stepped in it, quite literally, and he just threw the shoes out. I mean, that was it. Right? You're not coming back from that. That was it for those sneakers.
Well, I mean, I don't throw the sneakers out or the shoes out.
No, you put them in your brother's room, I know.
I would I would definitely throw the Roomba out, because that's just, it's done. Your Roomba's done. And actually, Jason, can you recount the Roomba story you just told me?
So I actually, helped with a little commercial last year for Roomba, and it was kind of interesting. So we had like 10 days of shooting this Roomba, and we're supposed to do time lapses of every room and get it covering the entire house. And the thing actually was in testing at the time and never actually worked but one day. So
it didn't even work throughout the shoot process?
No. But apparently, if you have poop in your house, they have this figured out now, so the thing works. But, so now it'll, create a verifiable poopocalypse for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really. Wow. So did you have to stage footage?
No, so the one time it worked, that was the day it worked, and it was like day 9 of 10 after finally, like every day. And what it really was this, this art lady, the art designer, whatever, had this fuzzy carpet. She's like, "We have to have the shag carpet in the shot."
Yeah.
And the shag carpet was its downfall.
Yep.
Oh, wow. All right. Well. Okay.
So moral of the story, don't buy a Roomba, especially if you have dogs in the house.
Yeah.
And if your dogs have IBS or something.
Although a lot of people say when you have a dog or cat, it's great to have the Roomba, because otherwise you're sort of in a persistent state of having to clean up the hair.
Yeah.
And if you just have the Roomba constantly circulating, then it at least tries to keep some of that hair under control.
Yes. But you do run the risk of a poopocalypse.
Yeah, I'll say.
Which is a great word. I think we coined that? Poopocalypse?
Let's not try to take credit for that one.
Okay. Tesla. And full disclosure, David is a Tesla shareholder.
Lewis is now doing my disclosures.
Yeah. I'm his legal counsel. So this is a story about people have questions about the durability, longevity, and reliability of these vehicles.
Sure.
This is a story about a Tesla taxi in Quebec City.
Love Quebec City.
Yeah, it's great. Model S, for over 2.5 years, accumulating over 100,000 mostly city miles. Yeah, That's so that will strain a vehicle, and the car has held up incredibly well. It's done terrific. The car has done tremendously well.
They've put the best parts around the car.
Yes,
and hired the absolute best people to build it.
And so the only big issue with the car was
It doesn't win anymore.
yeah. Tesla doesn't win anymore. We're going to make Tesla great again. The car's electric drive unit, which crapped out at about 25,000 miles. Tesla swapped it out. Now Tesla, at least for the Model S, has this infinite mile warranty on that, so you're good.
Cool.
And then after another 75,000 miles, it happened again, but of course it was replaced again, and this was probably because they had put an older one in it instead of the ones they're using now on the newer models. But other than that, it was just the standard changing of bearings, brakes, calipers, normal stuff. And it does seem to be a pretty reliable vehicle. And this is the more expensive Tesla,
Okay.
right? This is isn't it? Yeah, that's like the more expensive one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the expensive Tesla.
That's the big boy.
So not the one they just came out with that is more affordable. Would the reliability be the same on one of those? We just don't know yet.
Yeah. I have an article bookmarked for probably the Monday show about Uber now is getting Uber is basically ready to go with self-driving vehicles, self-driving Ubers. Of course, legally speaking, you're still going to have a driver in there, but the cars will have the technology of autopilot so that your Uber driver will basically just sit there and observe what the vehicle is doing. But don't worry, they'll be ready to take over if anything happens.
But think about all the lawsuits they're going to avoid now of all these like sketchy people they're hiring to do, terrible things.
You're saying because they're not even really driving?
Well, no, there's all these cases where Uber drivers have been like,
Kidnapping people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, I don't think this will affect that, will it?
Well, they won't have it anymore if there's, no driver.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Eventually.
Yeah. No, eventually, yeah. But for
Yeah.
now, whoever is observing the autopilot is effectively the driver. They're telling the car where to go, et cetera, et cetera. Would you be scared if you if you call an Uber and you get in and the guy's just sitting there with his arms crossed and the car is driving itself and they're just chatting with you?
At this stage in the technology, I wouldn't fuck with that. I'd say nope. Next.
Jason?
I'm getting on public transit.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, of course, this technology has got to be the most exciting thing in the world for cab companies.
Yeah, not for the
ride-sharing
drivers.
companies, not for the drivers, no. But the driver, that's your entire, all of your liability is the driver. And so you eliminate your drivers.
Well, we still have to figure out who's liable if a self-driving car crashes. That has not been completely cleared yet. So there's still going to be an issue of liability.
Well,
but
just in crashes. But overall, if your drivers are incompetent,
Yeah.
if your drivers are people and people suck.
right.
So
An
that's
autonomous car isn't going to sexually assault customers. The autonomous car
is not going to fart in the driver's seat.
or text while driving.
Yes, or stop short and
Do a move, yeah.
do a move. It's not going to happen with no driver.
That's true.
So eliminate the drivers. That's great. All right.
Most businesses would run much better if they got rid of all their employees, wouldn't they?
Yeah, you're right. If machines could replace incompetent people.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So one more kind of car-related thing. Here's some new federal regulations on truck emissions. This is important, and it's making almost no news.
Good.
You might say it doesn't go far enough, but it is something. The EPA, which you may or may not know actually exists still.
And presumably is able to do things.
And something they do things. Here's something they did. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, also something that exists in case you didn't know that, have adopted new regulations to reduce carbon emissions. This is basically forcing manufacturers to have certain standards related to emissions on their trucks in the country. Here's what it is. Heavy-duty pickup trucks and vans will need to be 2.5% more efficient annually between 2021, and 2027.
Okay.
And standards for certain big rig trailers will be established. Have they not been established yet? That should cut
Even
consumption.
stricter.
Maybe even stricter.
The problem I have with all this is like it's so underwhelming when you hear it. Like when Lewis says starting in 2021, you're going to have to improve emissions by 2.5% per year for the 6-year period following that. And it feels like nothing. I also get it, right? I mean, it's politics. You can't just come in. All these companies are planning their vehicles a long time in advance. If you tell them, hey, by next year, you've got to do this, it's like, wait a second. We've already completed engineering next year's model.
Yeah.
We've completed the following year. So I get
Yeah.
it, but it's just so underwhelming when you hear this is what we came up with, a 2% improvement a year, 2.5 starting 5 years from now.
Yeah, and we can't blame the manufacturers at this point, really. I mean, we can say that, yes, they probably never cared about emissions, and if they had their way, many of these manufacturers would still be producing incredibly inefficient, foul vehicles, spewing who knows what into the atmosphere.
Or be like Volkswagen and like verifiably like go
Fake it.
around the system. And,
Yeah, that's true. And I'm sure that will be happening as well. But all of this stuff should have happened a long time ago,
Right.
is the point. These regulations, 1%, 2% annually, probably should have started in the 80s.
Oh, no doubt. The cars were so inefficient at that point.
Yeah. And I mean, our technology maybe was not the best, but we knew what was coming out of these vehicles, and we knew it couldn't possibly be healthy.
No doubt.
So anyway, new regulations for all sorts of big vehicles and trucks, and it's what, better than nothing?
I always end up with that. I always end up underwhelmed, but happy that there's something other than nothing. I don't know.
Yep. I guess we'll leave it there.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.